Hello, everyone. This is Kyla from Hidden Gems Literary Emporium. Here today on our Ask the Author series, we have Mr. Dan Busby, the author of Lost in Time, which is officially sold out here at Hidden Gems, but not for long. Thank you, Mr. Busby, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a great thing to be here.
Oh, thank you. And so what state do you live in?
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, like Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Thank you for joining us all the way from Seattle, Washington. Okay. The plot of this book is quite interesting. And so why don't you tell us what it's about and just introduce yourself a little bit? Let's start there.
Okay. I'm Dan Busby, and I started writing when I was a kid, but and I kept writing until it was like 400 pages. The book I was writing, I was drawing pictures and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And about 20 years later, the cat peed on it, and that was the end of that book. So it was a good start, and got me honed up so I could actually, when my wife actually wrote a book, I was inspired by that. She got it published, and so I started writing. I said, man, why don't I do that? I always had a theory that music and writing were, creative writing and music were related. So I went to college as a music major. I compose and arrange music. So I think I've been proving my theory correct. I think they are related. So I started writing one book, Time Machine Emergency. Finished that one, and it kind of got mixed reviews, and then I wrote this one that we're talking about, Lost in Time, and it got very good reviews. The reason I started writing this was I've always had a fascination for time travel, the possibility of time travel. So I regard that as a possibility, a real possibility that we could see it happening. And also I've been fascinated by prehistoric facts or theories about prehistoric life. So I decided to combine the two, time travel and prehistoric things, with the other thing, which is the government. So, it's pretty explosive when you combine all three of those together. So I figured I couldn't lose with those three highlights.
Mm-hmm.
You write about time travel, you're kind of in uncharted territories, because nobody's done it before. So if you make a mistake, you screw up on it, nobody's going to know about it, right? So, and it works out. You just have to make sure the screw ups are in one book are the same as the screw ups in the other book. So
right.
So anyway, that's what else was I supposed to say? That's the basic reason I started this book.
Okay. I want to take this opportunity to ask you a question about time travel, being that you know so much and like it a lot. Because when Ray and I watch movies that involve time travel, sometimes I get a little confused. So I'm going to ask you, okay? In time travel in movies, right?
Right.
I'm trying to think of the movie that we were watching last where I was really confused. But basically, there are different timelines in theory, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So, for example, in the movies, you are who you are right now. And then if you go back in time, or if you go forward in time, you can meet who you are or would be in those timelines, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's right.
But in this particular movie, I'm going to get the name and send it to you afterwards. But in this particular movie, it was the movie with Denzel Washington's son.
Huh.
If you come face to face with the you from a different time period, then things get messed up, right?
Well, they can, but the way I handle it, when you meet your counterpart, I call that a counterpart, and I call it time thread. If you're in a different time thread, you can have this electrical interference or something so you can't even talk to your counterpart. Or if the stars are lined up right, everything could be just fine. And I actually have, I've written a book where there's 7 people all sitting at a table, and their 7 counterparts are on the other side of the table. And they're actually given, one of them is, one set's 2 years older than the other. They're giving them advice about what to do, what not to do. So that's, and then there's a problem that you encounter. If you want to go back and fix a problem, you can do that. But then, like if you're on one of my books, this guy's wife died. He went back and he wanted to go back and make it so she doesn't die. Well, he can do that, but his wife is going to belong to his counterpart. She's not going to be his wife anymore. So that's the problem. So I did a lot of scientific research, and I invented this thing called a time jump, where you can go back and forth really fast from your original spot to where you're going and back again, and that has some effect to eliminate the counterpart, so that you can go over in that time period. You can take over.
Okay, one more question, and then we're going to talk about the book. If you eliminate said counterpart, can you then go forward to the present again?
You know what? If you do that, I don't know what's going to happen, but you usually do that so that you can take over in that time period.
Oh, I see.
And I think that the old counterpart will just take over again if you do that. But my researchers haven't given me that part of that solution yet. But
okay. So Lost in Time is about this government researcher who develops this technology where instead of, I believe, sending people to jail, you send them back to a prehistoric time period, right?
Yep, Cretaceous period.
Yeah.
Worst time.
And then something happens on the job where someone dies, and the main character is accused of the crime and is forced back into this time period through the technology that he created.
That's right.
So he's pushed back into the past, trying to fight for his future, essentially.
Yeah, he actually has no, they gave him a gun so that he has a fighting chance, but that's all he has technology-wise. But this guy knows how to build a time machine. He's done it many times before. So he gets to he finds a couple of buddies, and they live in a cave, and they try to take care of themselves. And he's thinking about all the things he needs for a time machine. And after they build a big protective place to stay in, then he works on time travel. He gets all the things he needs. So he knows a lot about chemistry and physics,
Mm,
finds all these different things, and eventually comes up with some answers for a time machine.
mm-hmm.
So that to me would be the biggest challenge, going way back in time where there's no modern technology or anything.
Right. Question. What would be some adjectives that you would use to describe the main character?
Okay, I guess I could. He's constantly changing, so it depends on what time the start or the end, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd say he's a genius, and he's very self-reliant and independent, and determined.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be that way in order to survive.
Right.
So and so he knows how to put aside his fears in order to do what he has to do.
Right.
So at the beginning, I think that's the kind of person he was.
Hmm. I love stories that have main characters with traits that you can learn from. And, you know, when you're reading the story, you can kind of self-reflect and say, even if it's a fictional story, you can say, look, this guy is overcoming this situation and he is self-reliant, resourceful, and things like that. And it makes you think about your own life and situations, and kind of is just a reminder of qualities that you should embody.
Yeah, I think it's you're right about qualities that you think that you wish you had yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that you have, but the ones that you wish you had. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the title, Lost in Time. When you were in the very, very beginning stages of writing this book, did you think of the title first or in the middle or at the end? When did the title come to you?
I believe it came at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
I thought of it. That's kind of what I do. I think of a title, and then that way, when I write, I can let that title guide me in my writing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go astray off to one side or another.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the title "Lost in Time" is a title, if you've noticed, for a lot of movies and books, other books. So that's why I had a subtitle.
Right.
Lost Time, Trapped in a Prehistoric World. Nobody else has that one.
All right
So
now.
anyway, that's really what this book is about.
Mm-hmm.
Is the prehistoric world.
Right. Okay. Another question about your writing process. Are you the type of author that writes an outline, or do you just flow and go?
I used to write it all out by hand, and I never used an outline.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I'd type it out when I got done. But now I sort of progressed. I just type it on my laptop.
Oh.
There's no outline, and I just sort of go, you know, as the feeling drifts. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Yeah.
have to have some planning. You have to have a certain amount of planning, or you're going to screw up. So,
Mm.
but I don't think it qualifies as an outline.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just draft or notes. And because if you don't, then you might create some plot holes, which readers always catch. Or, you know, there might be some missing links or connections that readers always catch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. I know. You got to really watch it. So you have to proofread it really well before you
Mm-hmm.
submit it for publishing. So
Yes.
what I try to do.
Readers always catch typos as well.
Yeah, but nowadays the computers are pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. They'll catch you on your spelling and your typos. So
Yeah.
grateful for that.
That 400-page book that you wrote, did you handwrite that or did you type it?
I started out when I was 11 years old. So
Wow.
back in the Stone Age, we didn't have computers. They might have had these old-fashioned steel typewriters, but
Mm-hmm.
I never had one of those.
Oh.
Besides, I was drawing pictures and coloring them in with colored pencils. So
Uh,
I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but it was fun.
yeah. Maybe it just simply served as the foundation for your authorship.
Yeah, I think it did. It got me used to writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I actually decided to, it was pretty easy to get started.
Right.
There's another
What?
thing.
Oh, go ahead.
There's another
Please.
thing about this book that I'm surprised you didn't bring it up yet, but other interviews brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
That is that there's no female characters in it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like to point out that I wrote a sequel to this book. It isn't published yet, but it's done. And in that book, I made good use of the female character part there. So so I did that. You know, all my books were kind of the same. I kind of used the excuse that they were sending prisoners back to prehistoric times. I use the excuse that there's not very many female prisoners. So I kind of got by on that for a while, but then I had to straighten it up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so is the second book, is it also going to be called Lost in Time?
No, it's called Time Travel for Sale.
Ooh.
So these guys actually made it to a utopia, which is not their original time. It's way off in the future. And they met some people that were really interested in time travel, and they started a business. They would take people on tours to, either the Triassic, Jurassic, or Cretaceous.
Mm.
And they would take like 10 people at a time on tours and bring them back, charge them like $5,000 a piece. So you got filthy rich. So that's kind of the premise of how that book starts. But anyway,
Okay.
it's similar. It's still similar to this
Mm-hmm.
one in several ways. But
Right. We'll be looking forward to that one. Okay, question. How do you develop your characters? How do you do that?
well, I think about what I'm writing about and what kind of a character I want for the book, and I think about all the qualities, you know, the good qualities and the bad ones, and
Mm-hmm.
then I kind of list them in my head. So and it's a good thing to list them on paper. That'll stop you from making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you want somebody that's strong and smart usually, and so that's just pretty easy. You get that done right away, and then you'll think about circumstances. If you got a guy that's unmarried, or if you want to have a love interest, or if you want to have a partnership, young versus old, which
Mm-hmm.
it's always a good a good relationship. Professor and a college student,
Mm-hmm.
genius college student. That works pretty well.
Hmm.
then you have to think about the other people you're going to add. I start out with 2 people and I end up with 7 by the end of the book, because they're
Yeah.
going through time, picking up the people on different spots in time, So,
Right.
so I think that's interesting in itself. Like when you have 2 people, like in my other book, from different time threads and different times, actually getting together in a relationship, and that's kind of interesting.
Right. Okay. Question that sometimes it's kind of hard. It's kind of like asking people, and people always cringe when I ask this question. I'm talking about readers that come in. When I ask them what's their favorite book, they're like, oh, that's so hard. Do you have a favorite scene? One scene from Lost in Time that is your absolute favorite?
I think so, yeah. I think the thing that comes to mind right away is after the 3 guys get back to the Cretaceous period, one of them's an iron worker, and he knows how to dig up iron and make it into iron ore, make it into iron. So they build their house to be safe from the dinosaurs. And then they start working, the main character starts working on time travel, and his 2 cohorts don't believe he can do it. So they're sitting back making fun of him. And he basically tells them just be prepared to be amazed. After he gets done, he builds this weird looking contraption that's made out of a steam powered prop or whatever, and he gets in it and does a test flight, and the thing starts lifting off the ground and then goes up to 200 feet, and they're the 2 guys that were making fun of him were standing there gawking up at him and saying, man, I can't believe this. To me, that's the favorite. My favorite is he wasn't worried at all about failing. He knew what he was doing. So
right.
Anyway, after that, they had a little more confidence in what his abilities were. So.
And so earlier we were talking about characteristics that you can take away from characters in fictional books. And so that would be another one, how this character had so much self-confidence that what other people around him said had no effect on what he did or what he thought about himself. And a lot of times in life that happens. You have an idea. Sometimes you know how you're going to do it. Sometimes you don't. And then there's people around you who are saying, oh, you can't do that. And then you're just like, no, I know what I'm doing. Or maybe I don't, but I have a feeling that it's going to work out. And you go with it. And then once you succeed, then everyone's like, oh, yeah, I knew you could do it. Yeah, yeah. They see it flying in the sky. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he's probably like, you were just laughing at me.
You got a lot of fair weather friends that way.
Yes.
You get a lot of it.
Yes.
So, I like to have characters that can stand popularity and what do you call it? Just popularity. They can stand it, and it doesn't go to their head. So actually, I'm starting a book now about a character like that. He's a big shot on campus. He's a quarterback, and he's got everything going for him, but it doesn't matter to him. He's the kind of person that just sees he has friends from you don't have to be upper class in order to be his friend, in other words. And I kind of admire that. I would like to be that type of person. I mean, if I had all those character traits like popularity, which I don't claim to have all that stuff, but then that's the way I would like to be. Is and I think that's part of the strong traits or the strong points you need for a guy to be successful or a girl, a lady,
Mm-hmm.
in a good book like this.
Right.
So
If you were presented with the opportunity to go back or forward in time, would you do it?
yes, in fact, on my website, which is Dan the Time Traveler, no, Dan the Time Writer,
Okay.
time writer. I talked in an interview, I talked about that, and I'd say absolutely, I would love to go back in time. That's one of the things that inspired me to start writing, is me thinking about, man, if I could go back and fix this, that would be so great. And a lot of them have to do with marriage, so screw ups in that. But
All right.
not going to happen in my lifetime, I don't think.
Mm.
So yes, I would, but I would be afraid to deal with what might happen
Hmm.
if what if the time jump doesn't work and I still have my counterparts to deal with.
Mm.
That's the bad part. So I invented what I call time threads, where you can go to any number, like thousands of different
Mm-hmm.
temporary time periods that have all the same people and all the same circumstances, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the same, but you can go to any one of these time threads and go in it and actually see if you want to stay there, because if it's a good time thread, you'll want to stay there. So and that's you kind of have a feeling that they must exist somehow or another. If time travel is possible, you'll have to have different time threads, because you do have different you've got counterparts to deal with. So anyway, that's it. You can get lost in too much of this whatever you call it, talking about speculation type stuff.
Okay.
Interesting.
I want to ask you another question about time travel that always pops up in my mind when I'm watching movies. So when you travel in time, backwards or forwards, let's talk about backwards. Let's say there's a problem in the present. You want to go back to fix this problem. Okay. Now, isn't it true that if you go back in time, you can affect the present of other people's lives? Or couldn't you essentially cause more or other problems in other people's lives in the present, depending on the thing that you try to fix in the past? If that makes sense.
Kind of does, but just think about this. If you go back and fix a problem, you just have to realize everything's going to be different. But
Right.
the thing is, the people aren't going to realize it, because to them, everything's happening, just one day at a time, and this happens. So they don't realize that from your reality, it's different. So can you try to fix things like nuclear war? That's the kind of thing you really want to go back. This tragedy stuff, try to fix that. But people are going to be different. You're going to have a lot of different stuff. I don't believe that much about the butterfly effect, where you step on a butterfly and everything's totally screwed up. It's just going to be different, but you are going to be able to fix it.
Okay. Interesting. I feel as though now I need to rewatch that movie because the whole time I'm stopping my husband. I'm like, wait, pause. What is going on here? But that was him, and then he was now, and then back then, you can get kind of lost on the thread, as you call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to think too much. It'll drive you nuts.
That's what happened to me with this movie. Whoever is watching this video, it's the movie with Denzel Washington's son. The name is escaping me, but it's one of those movies that you probably need to watch twice because then the second time you have more, and especially after talking to you and getting some clarity, being the time traveler expert, the only one that I actually know. Now I can see things and say, oh, okay, this is what Dan was talking about. Okay. I would like you to flip open randomly to a page of your book and just go to whatever paragraph catches your eye.
Okay,
just
like
do
that.
it.
Okay,
Yep.
You want me to read it or just to look at it?
Yeah, read it.
Okay. Okay, well, the jungle below showed no specific path to follow on foot. They would have to inch their way through, hoping to avoid predators. As they floated toward home, they watched the ground and discovered that it was teeming with dangerous-looking creatures. What would be the safest way to get there to build the floating platform? Yeah, that's talking about right after he invented this flying machine, where he tested it, and those other two guys were looking up at him, and he got carried away with the test, and he floated out across about a half a mile away was the ocean. He floated over that and just got carried away and forgot about the dangers, like pterosaurs, that those huge giant flying dinosaurs, almost got wiped out by them. And then the next time through, he was taking the other two guys with him, and they were looking down. They wanted to go to the shore because there were so many fish. They wanted to start eating fish instead of leaves or whatever. They were eating greens, but they wanted to have fish for dinner. So they were going to trap the fish. And they decided, after looking at all of the dangerous creatures roaming around, it's better to just fly over there and build a raft and put their fish traps and then get the heck out of there. So that's what that paragraph was all about. So anyway, that's part of the adventure, I guess.
There's many adventures in this book. Many adventures, many obstacles, many unknowns. It's just quite interesting. So, Mr. Busby, where can people get connected with you? I know you mentioned your website.
Yep, and my email address is jakeblake@gmail.com. Just remember the Blake has 2 A's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Blake@gmail.com. And that's one. It's probably the best way. I have a website, like I said before, but I haven't found somebody to fix it where people can sign in and can leave you messages and stuff. I'm in the process of trying to fix that.
Okay.
buy books on that, but that's
Mhm.
broken right now too. So, but the interviews and the trailers, there's a couple of trailers on there that are pretty good,
Mhm.
and that's interesting stuff, I think.
Mhm. We think so too, and our readers definitely think so. Um, Mr. Dan Busby, we want to thank you for your time today, all the way from Seattle, Washington. We really appreciate you and your literary work of art that is lost in time. Anybody who well, first of all, I want to say, any of you who purchased this book, if you could please email Hidden Gems Literary Emporium at gmail.com. We would love to hear your review of the book. An honest and truthful review, right? Yeah. And if you are interested in ordering a copy of this book, you can come by Hidden Gems Literary Emporium. We're here in New Brunswick on 55B Morris Street, or you can give us a call at 609-361-4331. This book is really cool, I think. And I'm happy that we have a copy before it all got sold out. And for our son, of course, truth. And yes. So I hope that perhaps one day when we're doing another 1000 free book tour, we can cross paths.
Yeah, this has been a great experience, and it's been fun talking to you. And so, just about little things that come up when you talk about stupid things like time travel. I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't get boxed in somewhere, so that's good. Anyway,
That's
but
funny.
I'm glad you got a way for people to order the book, since you don't have copies yet right now. But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I really would like to hear more reviews, to see what people think.
Right.
I've got 2 or 3 fans right now, but that have written good reviews. But I'd like to get some more. So
yes.
Eventually, I'll get.
Well, please add Kyla, Raymond, and Truth on your list of fans. And of course, we'll be posting a review as well. And like I said, anybody everyone who came in and bought the book, please leave us a review. And not us, but Mr. Busby, obviously. Leave him a review. And it's important for not just independent authors, but all authors to get honest reviews of their work, because just like anyone who has a craft or is doing anything, they want to get better. They want to make sure that the audience that they are serving is happy and things of that nature. So I'm glad you had fun. I had fun speaking with you as well.
Yeah, I'm extremely glad, and I appreciate your persistence. Got
Thank
me.
you.
So that was fun, and we'll continue and carry on the torch.
Absolutely. And I will be talking to you very soon. Thank you, Mr. Busby.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.